ESPN college hoops analyst Seth Greenberg. Seth, glad that you could cut out a couple minutes of your day for us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So I got to start asking you about the Texas A&M Northern Iowa game. Northern Iowa in one game, that was one of the most amazing shots you could ever see. And the next game, they had the lead and then totally just fell apart. As a coach, what are you looking at when you see that happen?
It's a very hard thing, and that's kind of the interesting thing to me because we talk about one shining moment, we talk about the great finishes, and we talk about our brackets being busted, and we don't take into consideration the hearts being broken and the kids that are involved and the highs and lows of 48 hours and how difficult it is on all the people involved. It is a hard thing to explain as a coach. It really is. I mean, here's the thing. I call Northern Iowa, I say they are Virginia-esque in that they don't turn it over. They don't give up second shots. They don't give up transition buckets. They get a good shot. They force you to shoot a contested shot, which they did for basically 39 minutes. All right? And in 1 minute, it was like a perfect storm against them. They were so far out of character. It's almost hard to even fathom it happening. I mean, it really is. It really is crazy, but it happened, and it's a sick feeling, man. It's a sick feeling.
Talking with Seth Greenberg, ESPN college hoops analyst here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. Seth, to me, I look at Maryland going in and getting against Kansas. I know Kansas is the overwhelming favorite. A lot of people pick them, but to me, I see Maryland as so dangerous because you have Melo Trimble, you have all these guys on this team there's so much talent on this roster, and I think that could be a major matchup problem for Kansas.
Well, it could be. I think the biggest problem with Melo is shot selection. Melo is not shooting the ball very well. If he decides to give up a little bit of himself for the good of the group and get everyone involved, I think Maryland is. They're really good, and it sounds silly. I mean, Melo Trimble has got to be a facilitator. Melo Trimble's got to push it in transition. He's got to get Diamond Stone involved, get Jake Layman involved, shoot threes only on opportunity, get to the rim, get to the foul line. If he doesn't, he guards himself. Now, preseason, we talked about Maryland, preseason number one. Are they talented enough? Sure, they're talented enough. I think the big question for Maryland is, it comes down to Melo. He got all that hype, and I think he started, I wouldn't say started to believe it. I just think he started to try to do too much, and that's a natural thing. But, you think about Maryland, Melo Trimble has not shot the ball. He's not shot the ball from the three-point line, and he's settled to shoot the ball from the three-point line, and that just, that can't happen. It just can't happen. He's got to make better decisions. He's 9 of 14 from the two. All right, in the tournament, he's 1 of 10 from the three. Hello? It really comes down to shot selection. He's got to take better shots.
A guy who I would say is definitely a better shooter is Buddy Hield. He's had an amazing tournament so far, but I think the guy that gets overlooked for Oklahoma is Ryan Spangler because he's the one down the post really neutralizing a lot of players on the opponent.
Yeah, Spangler, for Oklahoma to be successful, Spangler's got to play well because they don't have great depth up front. And they don't get anything offensively out of Kadeem Lattin. So it becomes really, really difficult. So Spangler's got to rebound, he's got to make open shots, and he's got to stay out of foul trouble. And this is a very tough matchup for Oklahoma because this is a Texas A&M team that doesn't give up anything in transition, and they're a dominant offensive rebounding team. And if you look at the losses for this Oklahoma team, they've lost games when they've been dominated on the glass.
Seth, one of the mantras about college basketball has always been the tournament. It's about your guard play and it's about your coaches. And I think that's so true when you look at the situation. You got two double-digit seeds in Gonzaga and Syracuse making it to the Sweet 16. And I look at that and I ask you as a coach, you look at those teams, they might not be the most talented teams, but boy, are they well coached.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fuey's done an amazing job. If you look at what Fuey's done, he lost great guards. They've become an elite defensive team. In the tournament, they're the best in terms of defensive efficiency, the best defensive team in the country. When you think of Gonzaga, most times you think of scoring. This team stops you from scoring. This team is extremely well coached. This team gets good shots. This team is physical. This team rebounds the ball. And then Syracuse, you're talking about playing against a world-class zone that you can't simulate in your practice. So, those two teams are really good.
One more question before I have to let you go. Is there a team left of the 16 that you look at and say, that team is going to cause a lot of problems?
I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, they're this far. There's 16 teams that potentially can cause a lot of problems. Here's the thing: if Miami can get by Villanova, which I think is going to be really hard, but if they can, they're a team that can give Kansas a lot of problems. They have the maturity, they got the toughness, they got the size, they got the physicality to do that. And if they're able to get by Villanova, which is a hard out because Villanova turns you over, Villanova really guards, they defend, they've got great balance. But if they are able to get past Villanova, then Miami's a very interesting matchup because their guards match up with the backcourt of Kansas, and I think that's really important.
We've been talking with ESPN college hoops analyst Seth Greenberg. Seth, appreciate you joining us today. Have a great rest of the day.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.